A lot of short-term rental owners think of themselves as running a short-term rental business, but what they're actually doing is just running themselves into the ground. So today we're going to talk about shifting your mindset from running a short-term rental as a hobby into running it as a business, and how that mindset shift can put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. Stay tuned. Hey, Liz.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Before we get started, this is our first episode, so I feel like we should explain a little bit about ourselves, but also probably for this specific episode, maybe the next couple, because we're going to be, in transparency, we're filming a few all at the same time. You have a black eye.
Hashtag boy mom black eye.
Yeah. So we have a 13-year-old son as we're recording this, and maybe I'm gonna try to throw the video in of what happened. But they were playing basketball the other night. Our outdoor camera in our driveway caught it, and I think it's pretty funny. So maybe I'll either if you're listening to the audio version of this, just know you tried to cover it up. You covered it up pretty well, but it's not.
I'm not a makeup person.
It's
you can't afford one yet. So
to be clear, you can see it pretty well here on the camera. But yeah, we'll at this point probably I've already edited in the video of the nighttime recording.
It was innocent.
Yep.
But I get to live with a black eye.
Get headbutted by a kid who's almost as tall as you now. That's what happens.
Yep.
So I guess to introduce ourselves real quick, Liz and I, we own a business managing short-term rentals in Orlando, Florida. We manage a whole bunch of them for people that live all over the world, really.
Yeah.
And the purpose of this show is, of course, to help. Our cat's in the background too. The purpose of this show is really to help people who aren't necessarily being managed by property managers right now,
right?
But either are considering it or would never consider it, but just need help. And so I think the best way for people to kind of learn our viewpoint of things is for us just through the process of this show, just us, discussing different topics.
Okay.
But I do think it's important to know our background a little bit, at least in the industry.
Yeah.
I will go first because I'm the talker. I've been in the short-term rental industry for about 10 years now. Did marketing for a company that managed properties all over the country, several thousand, and about 2 years ago or so, we decided to start operating this business in Orlando. I have a lot of background in marketing, short-term rentals, driving guest bookings, trying to get repeat guests, all the stuff that goes along with trying to get people to book properties, and a little bit of the rate management side of things in that as well, but mostly marketing and making properties appealing to potential guests.
Yeah. And then outside of the industry, I've had a lot of operations and event experience. I've done that for years and years. About 4 years ago, actually, kind of in the height of COVID, I joined the same corporate team that he was on. And was on the software side, so I was product manager. So the corporate side of things, it was more of a software product that I was in charge of, really understanding how all of the property managers that we supported, understanding how they used the software, how they broke the software, how they needed the software to work. Really spent most of my time outside of the whole corporate reporting and roadmaps and planning and all that, but really diving into how different operations across the country manage their small businesses. So yeah.
So we have between the two of us, I think we have a decent well-rounded background. But yeah, we've been in the thick of it, managing properties for years now. And kind of have seen between our experience that we just talked about and then managing properties now, I feel like we've I don't want to say we've seen it all, because people guests never.
There are plenty of surprises waiting for us, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we'll talk about some of that stuff, I'm sure, in the many episodes to come. But yeah, and then beyond that, just the setting. Again, if you're watching this on video, you're in our living room, I guess. Really, I mean, we're sitting at our kitchen island with the living room behind us. But this is our house. You'll probably from time to time see pets. You'll probably hear pets. Who knows? You might even see our kid walking around. We're doing this while he's at school right now, but you never know when he might show up or walk through the background, or a pet might, lose their minds or whatever. So you'll just have to bear with us for any kind of weird distractions. But with that said, this episode we want to talk about approaching your short-term rental like a business.
Yeah.
And there is a mindset shift, and I know it's something that we, with the homeowners that we work with, we're trying to like encourage them to the ones who aren't, trying to encourage them to approach their short-term rental like a business. But I think a good place to start is, it's the money side of things, right? Like, and I know, like, we have a lot of experience. Orlando, where we operate a business, everyone thinks of it as being right now, like, the word like oversaturated is the word.
Yeah.
And, a couple of things that results in, if that's true, is, nightly rates end up being lower than you want. You may not get the occupancy that you want.
Well, oversaturation is just intense competition.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's we're talking about using your short-term rental as a business. You have to in Orlando. If you don't, specifically in the market that we operate in, you're not going to reach your financial goals. You're not going to reach your occupancy goals. Like, you have to treat it like a business.
So what does that mean to you? Like, operating it like a business? Because I think a lot of people who own short-term rentals, definitely all over the U.S., I think everywhere. I mean, some of them, they're like family homes. They're like, it's like someone bought it to maybe retire in it someday. But like, what is like the difference between, like, everyone looks at their numbers, right? Everyone if you have a mortgage payment, you're looking at, am I making enough to cover the mortgage or whatever that amount is? But like, outside of that, like, what are the other things you think of? Like, what is a differentiator between, we're going to stay at grandma's house, that she, her timeshare, and what is a difference you would think of?
To put it, in my past experience, you're offering a product. You are, if your goal is to, regardless of if it's grandma's house for someone to retire in eventually, or it is pure investment, it is a product, and you have to understand who your customer is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand who your competition is, and you have to understand what it's going to take to play in those spaces.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, you mentioned competition. I think one thing people don't think about much is the competition is not just other short-term rentals. It's hotels. It's honestly anything someone might choose instead of your place. So that even could be choosing to stay with friends and family.
Right. Well, and you have to as well take into consideration your area, your location, where your short-term rental is. In Orlando, it's very easy to understand that lots of people are here on vacation. Lots of people come for sports tournaments. So lots of people come to go to parks. And lots of people come play golf. There's a lot of times that guests stay with us in the homes that we manage, and they're literally only in the home to sleep.
Yeah.
But there are other times where it's Easter and it's a family that's scattered across the country and they want a large home to gather in for their entire family to come. So the amenities, you have to understand your customer, your competition. You have to understand what your customer is coming to you for. Mm-hmm. And you need to be able to prepare for that.
Yeah.
In the same and even better ways than your competition is.
What's interesting too is, like, I think that, you can also shape a little bit of that. Like,
you can,
like, that's like the idea of like developing your avatar, and we can get more I think more organized and like methodical with how we go through this. But like, number one, knowing like you said, who normally comes to your area, who's traveling to your area, what's their reason for traveling. But then beyond that, like, do you want to, if there's a general kind of similarity between everybody who comes to wherever your home is, your short-term rental home is, do you want to fully embrace kind of the mainstream of what that is, like the same as everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to say, is there enough of a pocket audience somewhere within that is a little bit unique in their needs? And do you want to tailor your home to that specific crowd? A great example would be like what you're saying, sports teams. Like in our area,
Yeah.
in Orlando, a lot of people travel with sports teams. Does the homeowner want to go all in on the traveling sports team and make their home the perfect place for a sports team?
Yeah.
And, whether it's decor, whether it's putting as many beds as you can, having bunk beds because kids love to stay in bunk beds, and the teams get rowdy, and that's part of the fun, I guess, of it. But do you want that, or do you want to try to do like one size fits all, which really never works?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can shape that a little bit.
You can.
But it's who do you want this to be for?
Yep.
How upscale or downscale in the market? There's no wrong answer to this, but like, honestly, it's kind of like, to put it in layman's terms, like, how nice do you want your home to be?
I mean, as a guest, as a traveler, I want to stay in a place that's nicer than my own home.
Yeah.
Anytime that I travel, I want clean. I want uncluttered, because my house is cluttered. We live in it. We've got pets. We've got family. The clutter drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I want the opposite. I want somewhere that I don't have to think about the laundry that's waiting for me around the corner, or the groceries that I haven't put away.
Well, yeah, actually, it's funny because, like, and spoiler alert, we're going to share a link later where you can get a checklist to help earn $10,000 more over the year. If you follow this checklist for improving your home, you'll make thousands of dollars more per year. But one of the items on that checklist is declutter.
Yeah.
And I've been working on like notes because I'm doing like some video training to go with that. But one thing I mentioned in the declutter section is a lot of people live in cluttered houses, right? Like, that's just normal life.
That's life.
Yeah.
That is a house.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a home.
We're not very cluttered behind us. We have lots of plants.
It's hidden.
Which
don't worry.
Liz would argue plants aren't cluttered. But like everyone, there's a certain amount of stuff. I can look and see stuff sitting around behind the camera. Everyone lives with a certain amount of clutter. But I would argue that anyone who lives in that state, they would not wish to live that way. If they could declutter, they would.
If I had the resources to keep it clean all the time, I 1000% would.
Yeah. And so those people don't want to come travel to clutter.
Yeah.
And then, of course, people who don't live cluttered lives, if there's any, mutant superheroes out there who actually live uncluttered, they don't want to travel.
They're even already more against it because,
Yeah. But like, so approaching it like a business, that's a thing. And there's this, told this story to so many people now. But I always share this story about back when we wanted to open a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And we loved the idea. We have I can see thousands and thousands of dollars of coffee equipment in our kitchen right now I'm looking at. We both love coffee in different ways. Liz is much more into espresso. I'm much more into like pour over type coffee. But many years ago, we loved making coffee for friends. We loved like experimenting. We loved serving people when they come to our home. We say, "You want a coffee? Let's make you something really special." We travel with our coffee equipment. Like, it was serious. We loved coffee. And so we had this idea of opening a coffee shop. And long story short, because it's a lot of boring details and it's not about short-term rentals, but eventually we got to the point where we realized that a majority of our job, if we were to open a coffee shop, would actually be none of the things that we actually loved about coffee.
Yep.
We wouldn't, if we loved serving our friends and family, chances are we wouldn't be spending much time doing that. If you own a coffee shop, your job is to sell coffee.
Yeah.
And the same way, if like owning a short-term rental was attractive to you, to have a place to go and be, with your family, or take vacations to, or just have a second place in another city that you love to go visit, or any of those kind of personal reasons, that is very different than the life you will live as a short-term rental owner or host when you start opening it up to other people.
Yeah.
If you want it to be successful, that is.
Yeah.
And again, either goal is totally fine,
Right.
but you just have to be clear on what that is. Do you want to operate this as a business and reap the benefits that come from operating as a business, but also you have to put the work in? Or do you want to stick with that vision you had originally, maybe of like it's just a fun place to go hang out a few times a year, and you have to accept the downside with that, which mostly is going to be a financial downside. You're not going to make the same money if you really pursue that path. I think whether you as opposed to pursuing a,
Well, it's got to be something that you do full time.
yeah,
You're going to be giving up.
Yeah.
Your 9 to 5. You're going to be giving up whatever job that you had to focus on that. It is 1000% a full time job.
yeah.
Especially once you get guests in and you get varying opinions and you get different booking platforms giving you bookings, and then they become a part of the conversation. It's all a very full time job.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, like, I think about this a lot, like too, like anything we're talking about going into business, right? Going into short-term rental business, anything that, imagine like all of us have heard at least a little bit about like what it's like to start a business. Whether you've heard the things like, oh, you had to have a business plan or you need to have a marketing plan. Like anything that's true about starting a business is true about going into the business of renting your home out, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm not saying you have to have like a 25-page business plan for your short-term rental property, but like you could put together like a couple of paragraphs that basically outlines your vision for the property and how you think it's going to financially either survive or thrive, or what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
You can put together a expected profit and loss statement. But I think what I've learned a lot is like, with some of the homeowners that we work with, we ask them, are you approaching this like a business? They'll say yes. But what that actually means to them in practice is, I'm going to watch every expense like a hawk, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no like investment in the business. There's nothing on the other end. There's no proactive activity. It's only, I'm a business owner, therefore I'm going to never spend any money that I don't have to.
Businesses by default are not profitable 100% of the time.
Yeah.
That is the nuts and bolts of it. And that's the exact same, no matter how you're going to be approaching a short-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
It's the industry in specific, short-term rentals saw a large influx of new businesses with COVID. And that was a once in a lifetime. That was, hotels were shut down, short-term rentals were safe. And there was a boom of people purchasing homes, and it was shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
During the first 2 years of COVID, it was very, very, very easy to be fully occupied.
It was easy to get money to buy it.
It was easy to get money to purchase the home. It was easy to find guests. Guests were willing to pay whatever you wanted. Because they needed a place to stay, they could care less. They would put up with old decor. That was once in a lifetime, and those days are long gone.
Yeah, it's very deceptive. That whole time period was, and I'm sure a later episode we'll get into like decor and things like that. Yeah. But it definitely was very misleading as a homeowner to a homeowner.
Yes, or to someone on the outside who was maybe thinking about investing in short-term rentals. It was easy to the barrier to entry was very low at that point.
Yeah,
and that's not around anymore.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who, like I said, it's misleading. Like, the reason why your property with grandma's old furniture in it was renting out so well was only because of, the law of supply and demand.
Yeah.
There was so much demand and there wasn't enough supply, and you were the beneficiary of that. You got to, someone would rent your place because your place was the only one left.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, if you were tracking in real time, once that wave of new renters came in and flooded a market with demand to try to get into places, I still guarantee you, if you watch that in real time, these ones that were poorly decorated were the last ones to get rented.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it wasn't because it was
It was
such a
supply
hot
and
commodity.
demand.
Yeah.
It was because that's what was left.
Yeah. And so understanding that, I mean, honestly, I would challenge you, if you're watching or listening to this, do you even know how many short-term rental properties are in your market? Is that even something that's like a basic, like,
Absolutely.
know your market, know your competition, like we talked about. And, full transparency, Liz and I have notes here. We make sure we cover everything on these episodes. One thing that we haven't touched on as much is the idea of emotion versus data, and where that plays in.
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of I know this is our first episode, so we're kind of bouncing around all over the place a little bit. But I think this is a good place to, if you stick with us. My goal for us is to give everybody everything we know.
Right.
And so it's like, where do you start with a brain dump?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I do think this concept of emotion versus data is something that we don't put it in those words necessarily when we're talking with homeowners, but it is something that comes up.
Or even with guests. We've got, it's height of summer for us, and we've got pools that are being used heavily, so they're being treated in ways that make it safe, and some of it clouds the water. And a guest says, I feel like this isn't safe. It's like, well, no. I mean, full transparency, I was a biology major in college, so my initial training is the science, the data. You don't bring emotion into that. But yeah, that's definitely something that's an easy trap to fall into as a homeowner, especially if you are treating the home as, it's a family home. It's where we go on vacation. It means a lot to you and your family. You're going to be emotionally attached to what that home represents to you. And you, as the owner, should feel like it automatically represents that to everybody else. Therefore, you can charge more. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. And so there's, we in what we do and how we format things, we use data extensively.
Yeah.
That's really the only way to kind of get a key pulse on our competition around us, and not only what they are hoping to rent homes for, but what homes are actually renting for. That's the only way to go about it. And it's hard to do. And I think that's why it's so great when we partner with homeowners who are like, yes, I want a manager. We are able to sophisticate that data point for owners.
Yeah.
And kind of step away, like understand the emotion, but also say, I get it, but also here's all of the extensive research and the data that we've brought forward.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, the more that we've, and again, this goes for this is not just homeowners that whose properties we manage. This could be any homeowner. If you reach out to us through our website and want to chat with us, we would talk to you about these same things. Yeah. This is something we have really good friends that own short-term rentals. We talk to them about this stuff. So this is the same, this is whether you're paying us to manage your property or not, this is the same stuff, the same conversations we're having.
Yeah.
With everybody all over, the country for sure. I don't know anybody who owns a short-term rental outside the country, but all over the U.S. at least, this is the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but there are data sources you can use. Yeah. And just because right now, and this is something, maybe this is a good place we can kind of leave this episode on, is just because it's tough right now, financially it's not working, the numbers aren't working. In some way, you might know exactly why it's not working, or it might be as vague as, I'm not making as much as I'm spending every month. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're in an impossible situation, that you can't make certain changes and actually turn things around. And that's, as we've talked to more and more homeowners, we've been able to find ways to ask questions that help us get a little bit deeper into the financial side of things, to really understand where they're at. Not everybody has the same interest rate. No. Not everybody has the same length of terms on their home loan. Not everybody even has a home loan. not everybody even cares if they're losing money every month because the home is appreciating fast enough to outpace even the loss that they see month to month. There's so many variables that we've learned to ask questions about.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've learned that we're asking questions that homeowners aren't even thinking about. I am shocked by the number of homeowners that we have talked to that do not account for the appreciation in their home. They bought the home as a long-term
The property
investment.
itself is
Yeah.
an investment.
And
Yeah.
like, if you can, like, before you even get into short-term rental, just approach buying a house, buying a long-term investment with the understanding of the way that old school real estate investors would invest.
Yeah.
Buy a property for a price and wait long enough, and the price goes up, and you sell it, and you make a profit. Hopefully, you sell it for a profit that profit amount is more than the amount you spent in the time period.
Right.
But if you start there and then layer on top of it short-term rental methodology and mindset, you can be in a much better financial situation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help people who have a mortgage and are drowning in debt right now, and it's getting worse. But there are things you can do, and that's what this show is about as well. Is what can you change? What can you do that doesn't cost any money to start driving more money? There's only two numbers. There's the money in and there's the money out. You can either make the money in bigger or make the money out smaller, or hopefully both.
Yeah.
But that's really it, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, that's at the end of the day, what we do is really simple. It's well, I wish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's how can we make you more money coming in, and how can we make less money go out on the other end? And so that's what the show is about. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This show will get better and better over time. We'll get better and better at doing it. But thanks for tuning in or listening in for the first episode. And if you want to check us out, connect with us, chat with us, ask a question for the show, ask a question that you don't want on the show, you just want us to respond to you, you can go to STR, short-term rental, strcoach.net, and there'll be a button there to contact us. You can sign up for some free stuff over there. One of them, like I mentioned, is that checklist, 14 ways to earn $10,000 more. I think it's called 14 ways to earn $10,000 more. Is it written down? Yeah, from your short-term rental. And I don't want to guarantee it, but I almost guarantee if you do all 14 over the course of a year, you're going to make probably at least $10,000 more off your short-term rental. It's up to you to do it, but if you follow the steps, it'll happen. That's totally free at strcoach.net. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.